Hello, I am Samyukta, architect and Bharatanatyam dancer. This is an attempt to relate the aesthetic theory of Rasa used in Indian performing arts to the architecture experience. The term aesthetics arose as an attempt to offer a constructive account of the role played by emotions and feelings in human life. Aesthetics was subsequently associated with the feelings evoked by art. It is now exclusively used to describe these feelings. Aristotle, in his book Poetics, coined the term catharsis to describe the emotional response evoked in the spectator of a play. Similarly, rasa is the emotional response evoked in the audience during a performance. It is first mentioned in the Natya Shastra, a treatise on dramatic presentation. Rasa subsequently became the central idea of a school of aesthetic thought. In Natya Shastra, the mood of the play or scene is called sthai. The mood may be romance, horror, etc. In order to establish the mood on the stage, actors should keep three components in mind. 1. A thorough understanding of the plot and events within the scene, Vibhava. 2. Sanchari Bhava. Interpret the mood in terms of the plot and break it down into a sequence of emotional events. A typical sequence of events of a person in love is illustrated here. Happiness in getting dressed to meet the beloved, anxiety at his or her delay, anger at being stood up, morose at not getting the opportunity to meet. Other moods can be similarly interpreted through Sanchari Bhava. 3. These emotions are actually seen through the bodily movements and gestures. The technique of the actor is also complemented by costumes, stage settings, etc., all of which is called the Anubhava. Establishing the mood is not a linear process. These components cyclically affect each other, and a synergy of all components is requisite for the audience to have an immersive experience during the play. That moment when the borders between the subject and object disappear, the audience feels like they are a part of the scene. That is the moment of Rasa Anubhava, or the experience of Rasa. This reflects not just in the artist's performance itself, but also in the design of the supporting stage settings, costumes, music, dialogues, etc. In a quality dramatic presentation, rasa can be understood even by studying one aspect. In this presentation, we will be taking up a movie and studying its settings to see how their design supports the theme. Bahubali. India's most expensive film franchise, Bahubali 1 and 2, is all about scale, lavish sets, and special effects. Made with a budget of $70 million, dollars, the film became the second largest grosser in Indian cinema, crossing $265 million. Dollars. Larger than life sets were erected at Ramoji Film City in Hyderabad, where 2,000 carpenters, painters, and prop builders created a kingdom replete with two palaces and plenty of statues. Visual effects were created by 3 dozen companies which helped simulate the terrains and battle scenes. As mentioned earlier, the process from theme to art experience is not a linear one. In this presentation, we have adopted a color code to make it easier to understand. Informing factors identified for the architecture are plot, cultural context, site and surroundings as shown in the movie. These are always shown in blue font or highlighted in blue. Intangible concepts are highlighted in grey. These fall in three categories. Plot and culture are read together to interpret the function. 2. Site and theme are used as reference to assign an emotional quality to the site. This quality informs the landscape. 3. The theme is directly broken down to multiple emotions which are further interpreted in design. The user experience is highlighted in yellow. The palaces. Mahishmati is the imperial capital. The rulers of Mahishmati control a vast empire. The struggle to control this empire between two cousins forms the bulk of the story. The theme is Veera or valor. Kuntala is a small scenic kingdom at the border of Mahishmati. One of the cousins, Amarendra Mahabali, falls in love with the princess of Kuntala. Theme romance. Kuntala. Plot. The crown prince of Mahishmati, while on tour of the kingdom and neighboring areas, falls for the princess of Kuntala. He stays back in Kuntala as a commoner to woo her before revealing his true identity. To interpret the theme visually, this paper suggests a two-part process. Sequence of emotions as mentioned in the Natya Shastra and visual icons associated with the theme that audience is familiar with. Emotional states associated with love have been listed. The love story between the Hindu god Krishna and his childhood friend Radha was epitomized by the 16th century poet Jayadeva in his anthology of poems Gita Govindam. These love poems and paintings interpreting them are popular icons of Sringara in India. The elements of this Radha Krishna icon can also be seen translated in the entire settings of Kuntala. The site is set in the foothills of mountains. The lush and verdant site is replete with streams of water. The overall impression is of pleasantness. This pleasant quality of the site has been enhanced by creating gardens and pavilions. These are pleasant, informal, vibrant, and colorful spaces. Kuntala is a small kingdom at the borders of Mahishmati. It is sovereign but has no vassal kingdoms. It is ruled by a king and his unwed sister. They are hands on in their style of ruling. All of this translates into a design that needs very few barriers. Any reader of a love story can attest that it requires a lot of chance meetings before the couple actually fall in love. The architecture needs to create scope for this. By choosing to design a palace with multifunctional spaces and very little separation between the formal and informal, the palace increases scope for these chance interactions. The architectural experience. Love is known as Shringara Rasa in Natya Shastra. Shringara also means decorating oneself. Many things in the detailing of the architecture feels like references to a bedecked bride. The lighting, mellow and beautiful, soft, like a candle-lit dinner. Vibrant colors in the landscape remind of spring, beginnings new and beautiful. Soft white marble and delicate yet intricate ornamentation has been used. The horizontality of the building has been emphasized. This makes the fairly large palace complex look less daunting. This impression is further enhanced by creating porous facade with open arches and balconies. The building complex is organized around gardens and courtyards as though in reference to the gardens of Brindavan in the stories of Krishna. The U-shaped plan forms a welcoming facade. And now Mahishmati. The story is of the struggle between cousins for the throne of Mahishmati. It brings out personality traits of each in order to define who is the deserving king, the true hero. The emotions, the icon. The epic Mahabharata is a popular subject in the Indian mind as a complex depiction of power struggle. Hierarchies of command, opposing coteries, physical power, strength of character, and leadership qualities displayed by its characters seem to have influenced the writers of Bahubali too, also. Informing factors. Mahishmati Fort is constructed atop a hill overlooking arid plains. The plains make the battlefield and the fort record as formidable and impregnable. Everything in the setting suggests martial qualities. Cultural context. Mahishmati's control extends over a large geographic area with many kingdoms accepting the suzerainty of Mahishmati over them. Therefore, Mahishmati was not just a kingdom, it was a powerful empire. The design is characterized by huge plazas and imposing buildings typical of imperial cities like New Delhi and Washington, D.C. Power structure. There are two primary coteries, one that supports the queen and subsequently supports the crown prince Bahubali. The other supports his cousin, the queen's biological son Balladeva. A strict hierarchy and nested groups within. Various levels and nested forms in the elevation reflect this complex power structure. The commoners are almost never shown in the same frame as the royalty and nobles. The queen regent and the crown prince are almost deified and worshipped by the commoners. The multiple power centers require various places of meeting. Even the residential quarters is designed with the capacity to host a small meeting. These are shots from the movie of the royal court and also the personal court of the queen. The emphasis is definitely on the vertical scale. Unlike Kuntala, where the forms were grouped around gardens and courts, the buildings of Mahishmati are organized in ascending terraces with deep balconies that are not visible from the ground. Fire is considered pure and sacred. In many cultures, prayers and offerings to gods are carried upwards by flames. The palace of Mahishmati sports an eternal flame in its top story. The torch burning at the top of the queen's palace is an icon of the Mahishmati state. Flames are used in the most dramatic points of the movie. The treacherous killing of Amarendra Bahubali by his trusted general. The subsequent announcement of the queen that Bahubali's son shall be the next king. Vigorously burning torches have been used to light both interiors and exteriors. The effect is dramatic. Red and gold of the interiors, when lit by these flames, become the visualization of the passionate feelings that run deep in the struggle for power. The same red stone, when lit in the day, reminds us of battle plains. Combined with colossal statues and carvings of aggressive animals, it gives the impression of powerful state machinery maintaining almost military discipline within the kingdom. From the analysis done so far, each theme has been broken down into some emotions which have influenced the architectural form. We shall now analyze architectural drawings on the basis of these matrices. Section through Mahishmati Palace and Plaza. The tall buildings have an imposing presence on the citizen while also keeping the life of the royals out of sight. The state controls how much is revealed. Section through Kuntala Palace. The facade of Kuntala has many openings. This, combined with its lower height, makes the royal palace seem more accessible to the citizens. The elevation. A citizen from the plaza in Mahishmati is forced to look up to the buildings. This reinforces a bodily memory of respect. Building facades sometimes imitate faces. In this case, the assertive body language of a warrior. Soft lines on the facade of Kuntala Palace. An element of playfulness introduced by the plantings. These are typical of artwork representing romance. For example, Jaumini Roy's painting of the dancing gopi. Bharatanatyam dancers showing Radha and Krishna. Section through the court of Mahishmati. The enormous volume evokes awe and colossal statues of armed men reminds us of discipline and control. In plan, we observe that each category of people is strictly segregated. There is a formal order of seating. From the plaza, the royal court is closed off without any scope of interaction. The plaza itself has hardscape. Even the water body flows in a rectilinear pool, implying an atmosphere of control. The Kuntala Plaza, on the other hand, is completely planted with green plants and flower beds. The impression is of playfulness. The court is open to the plaza. Even the arches on the facade have very low level screens implying low barriers and informality. On the walls of Mahishmati, we find simple but repetitive ornamentation, reminding one of the rhythm of marching soldiers. In Kuntala, we find intricate patterns on the arch and lateral screen. These are vibrant yet designed with a sense of harmony. They bring a whimsical fairy tale like quality to the structure. The ornamentation is suggestive of festival decorations. This shloka from Natya Shastra is taught to every student of Indian classical dance. Instructions on how to achieve rasa. Yatho hasta tatho drishti, yatho drishti tatho manaha, yatho manaha tatho bhavaha, yatho bhavaha tatho rasa. The meaning. It It essentially asks to master bodily movement and facial movement, anubhava or the tangible. Control the mind and then the expressions on the face, sanchari bhava or the intangible. The dancer can then and only then attempt to evoke rasa during a performance. Going back to where we started, sthai, vibhava, anubhava, and sanchari bhava. Vibhava and anubhava fall within the scope of what we know as technique. Sthai can be roughly equated to concept. What then is the relation between sthai, sanchari, and rasa, the art experience? Popular images and cultural perceptions connect the intangible in the mind of the designer, the tangible expression of art, and how they are perceived by the user. Shared cultural values between designer and user often deepen the quality of the art experience. I have been a Bharatanatyam dancer for 25 years and an architect for 10 years. Most of this paper comes from my conversations with my teachers, students, and friends. Apart from that, these papers and books have also helped me understand the technicalities of the Rasa theory. Thank you.